Hello Libra, welcome to your June 2023 astrological forecast. For those of you who are new, my name is Jane. Now, June is kind of an interesting month. I'm going to call this a preparatory month, where we're just kind of preparing for what's coming down the line through July, August, and September, okay? Now, firstly, I know this is old news, but I think this is super important. I think this is a really big part of what Libra is going to be experiencing. Jupiter came into Taurus last month, May 16th. So it's been in here for a few weeks already. It just crossed over the North Node here. And I think we're really going to start to feel that incredible desire and yearning to become someone else, okay? Because in the 8th house, often we have like a death of an ego. We have a shedding of an identity that occurs here. We humble ourselves. We remove things that do not work. We eliminate a lot of things here, and we emerge a reinvented person. And I think Libra really is asking themselves right now, what is it that needs to be eliminated? How do I unload this? How do I get rid of that? How do I be this person that I have in my mind's eye? How do I be that person? And what is it in my life right now that is preventing me from doing so? And this might be working on your resources. It might be working on your sense of self-value. It might be working on the people with whom you associate in your communities and whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is that Jupiter is pushing, it is driving this transformation forward. Okay, so that's really giving context to everything else. As the sun comes through the 9th house, it's already halfway through, okay? As we make our way through the rest of June, it's going to make its way into Cancer. So we have 9th and 10th house sun transit. In the 9th house, we seek expansion, we seek connection with spirit or God, we seek a higher purpose, something that is beyond ourselves. And what I love about 9th house too is that it can be really abstract. It can be philosophical, it can be theological. It doesn't have to have all these concrete, relatable, understandable answers. And I think Libra right now is really opening themselves up to a lot of possibilities and saying, universe, or God, spirit, guide me. I trust you. I surrender. All I know is that this aspect of me, it's not suiting me in terms of where I ultimately want to go. And there's a lot of reevaluation that's going on. Now we have a few retrogrades happening. One thing I want to talk about first before we get to the retrogrades is Venus, though, your ruling planet. Now Venus, she's not retrograde this month, so I just want to put that out there. But she is going through her pre-shadow phase. Okay, she's going to retrograde next month, later on in July. Retrogrades next month, but she's going to come into her pre-shadow phase this month. When she hits that 12-degree mark of Leo, she's officially in pre-shadow. And we're going to start to really see the themes of this Venus retrograde really coming out. Now, with Mars and Venus both in the 11th house, this has a lot to do with your sense of community, whether it's an online community or whether it's an industry that you belong to or a group of friends or some type of something that you belong to. There's a question of where you belong. Where do you belong? And as you're changing so rapidly with this Jupiter in the 8th, that's a pretty valid question. And you might feel like you don't, well, I'm not saying you don't belong anywhere, but you might definitely feel like you don't belong in the places where you used to feel like you belonged. And you're probably reevaluating a lot of relationships right now. You're reevaluating your friendships. And even in any kind of a hobby or any kind of outside interest, the real question is do you still really want to be a part of that? If you're working, I think there's going to be a lot of work themes that come through with this Venus retrograde for Libra too. If you're working and you're reconsidering your work, probably one of the things you're opening yourself up to with this sun in the 9th is I need a new job, or I need a new livelihood. I need to do something else. I need to grow in a different kind of way because this just simply isn't suiting me anymore. And because the theme with Jupiter here is elimination, which happens in the 8th, a lot of elimination is going to be happening. It's though as you are going to be defining where you need to go by first defining what you don't want, you know? So if you're going down the list and saying, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, I think that's actually a good thing. That's a good sign. You're doing it the right way. And eventually, I'm not saying it'll happen in June because it most certainly will not, but eventually you will land on something that makes sense for you. You will land on something that you feel is right and feels solid and feels like, yes, this could be a part of my new identity. Okay? There's a lot of relationship stuff coming through as well. Just with the planets alone. I mean, Leo can be a really romantic sign. The 11th house can also be very fun and social and all of that. The 11th and 5th houses are really, really fun houses. I would say that if you're in the dating market, chances are going out and being in the community is going to be a really safe bet. Now, I'm kind of changing my tune on Venus retrogrades over the years. I'm starting to learn that actually it's kind of nice to find a person during a Venus retrograde. And I think a lot of astrologers might disagree with me on that, and that's perfectly fine. I would be more wary of a Mars retrograde, right? Meeting a person during a Mars retrograde. I think that's a little harder for sustainability and growth. Venus retrograde to me indicates two people who would be reassessing what they want in life and somehow finding an alignment during that period of reassessment. And that's great because when you're reassessing and you find someone who aligns with your new direction, you can kind of do it together and you can build it together. And Libra, the things that you're thinking about in relationships, all kinds of relationships, you know, the requirements and, you know, they're changing. They're changing. And the types of people you want to associate is also changing. Okay? So just keep that in mind, relationship-wise. We have Saturn retrograde on the 17th. And Saturn, when he retrogrades, he does have an internalization effect. So he internalizes with this retrograde. We're going to feel the slowdown if we're not feeling it already. We're feeling the slowdown of Saturn as we go within and find that sense of will and self-discipline. It's one thing when Saturn is direct in the 6th, we can kind of get our life together, we can get things organized, we can get everything structured properly. But when he retrogrades, it's more about us and our own personal behaviors. It's about what we do and how we spend our time. It's how we take care of our health, how we exercise, how we take care of all the daily administrative tasks that need to get done. And so I think Saturn retrograde can be beneficial. I know that having Pisces in the 6th as a Libra rising, that can be really tough because in a house of organization, we have like a wandering heart, Pisces, as the ruler. So anytime we get a little bit of structure in this house, I think it's a good thing. It aids for your goals. So you can take advantage of this. And of course, he'll be here for a while, but I do like the retrograde for Libra a lot. We also have, okay, let's talk about Pluto for a second. Okay, on the 11th, the same day that Mercury comes into Gemini, and by the way, Mercury is moving really fast right now. He's officially out of his shadow phase. He's going to move through Gemini super, super quick and enter into Cancer this month. And I love that because it's like finally things are moving. And as much as I love Taurus, and I love Taurus, it can be a little too slow sometimes. And sometimes when we want speed, but we have too much Taurus, it's hard for us to really find that. But once he comes into Gemini, there is speed involved, okay? Not to mention, so that Mercury moves into Gemini on the 11th. Also on the 11th, so the same day, we have Pluto retrograde moving back into Capricorn. And this is the first time that Pluto will retrograde back into Capricorn. So he's doing it twice before he fully gets into Aquarius. It's a very unique ingress. And the last time that happened, by the way, was way back in the 60s, 50s, the late 50s, when it moved from Leo into Virgo. Okay, so it's been a while before that's happened, since that's happened, which goes back and forth 2 different times. And when he dips back, it kind of has that cyclical quality. Things from our past might come up, but it's not to make your life terrible. It's not to completely throw you off course. It's to show you how far you've come. It's to show you how much you've grown, to show how different you are. And I think that's going to really aid Libra with this Jupiter in the 8th house. It's going to aid you because sometimes when we have that, it's kind of like, let's say you're madly in love with someone, right? And they don't want to be with you. They break your heart. They leave and you spend years pining over them only to finally get over them and move on with your life. And then somehow they make their way back into your life years and years later. And you look at them and you say, wow, I'm so glad that didn't work out. Like, I really don't have any attraction to this person anymore. I don't even know who they are anymore. There's no feelings. They're completely gone. You know, sometimes that's kind of what happens when the past comes back. And I get a feeling that's the type of re-entry of the past that might happen for Libra. It's that reminder, like, you're good. You're good with the direction you're going. You're good with what you're building. You're good with how you're living your life. And you really can leave that in the past. You really, really can. You can leave it in the past and you can move into your future and you can embrace that future wholeheartedly without ever wondering what could have been. This is an opportunity to shed yourself of any regrets and wonderment. And you can look forward, right? 9th house sun, you can look forward into the future and just be happy about it. And that's it. And that's really all it needs. It's all you need, I think. Now, Cancer season is a little bit interesting. On the 21st, right, we have the solstice. 21st, the sun comes into Cancer. We have Mercury coming into Cancer on the 26th. And then we have Neptune retrograde on the 30th. I genuinely believe once we hit Cancer season, it is going to be emotional. It definitely is. Whenever Neptune retrogrades, it's always a little bit weird and uncomfortable. And yes, a lot of emotion certainly comes up with that. Neptune, I don't know. He kind of just like, sometimes it's kind of like emotion that you can't even really understand where it's coming from. Like, why am I feeling this way? Why is this coming up for me? I don't understand this feeling. And that most certainly can be what's going on. Processing that emotion. It's probably going to be more of a purge type of emotion more than anything else. A purge that you need in order to move on or something, or a purge that needs to happen in order for you to really listen to your heart. Okay, so yes, there will be emotional tumultuousness, and that is a-okay. I wouldn't beat yourself up over, having that emotion. Just let it out and move on. And I think there's going to be a lot of really good stuff that comes out of Cancer season. We just got to kind of get through this Neptune retrograde first. Once we hit July and Neptune is already retrograding, Cancer season will start to speed up and we'll start to really understand the essence of the season and helping us to make certain decisions to help direct our life. Okay? All right, so that's just a general overview. I'm going to leave you guys there. Thank you so much, Libra. You know how much I love and adore you. Have an amazing month, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.